Recently, I asked you on Twitter and Facebook if you wanted to see an unspecific episode with just random and hopefully interesting facts, and the results were almost unanimously yes, so here it is. In the year 2000, computers and various machines across the globe ran into the infamous Y2K problem, or the Millennium Bug. It was an issue that resulted from the practice of abbreviating and storing 4-digit numbers as only 2 digits. This made the year 2000 indistinguishable from the year 1900. So when clocks around the world went from 1999 to the year 2000, they got a little confused. The reason I bring this up is that in 2038, something similar will happen. For example, if I bring up my old iPhone 3G and I try to set the date further into the future, let's say 2039, it's grayed out. I can't. The same thing happens with my DSLR camera. I can't go past 2037. So what's going on here? Well, many systems today display and keep track of time using something called Unix time. It's basically a 32-bit number that keeps track of time by simply counting every second since the 1st of January 1970. However, because it's only a 32-bit number, it will eventually reach its maximum value. This will happen on the 19th of January 2038 at exactly 3:14:07. The system will then no longer be able to differentiate between 2038 and 1901. The way to solve this issue is by upgrading to a 64-bit system instead. A 64-bit number will be able to count seconds until the 4th of December in the year 292,277,026,596. If our current understanding of the universe is correct, the universe will most likely have ceased to exist by then. I love how instead of actually solving the problem, we just found a way to delay it long enough so we don't actually have to solve it. Video games these days are getting larger and larger and larger and larger. Not just the in-game world size, but the actual amount of space it takes up on your hard drive. The PC version of GTA 5, for example, is currently at a staggering 60 gigabytes. The physical copy comes on 7 discs, which makes this game all the more fascinating. The game is called .K Krieger. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce that, but it's only 96 kilobytes. The game achieved this incredibly small size by extensive use of something called procedural generation and a unique method of box modeling. In a very basic terms, the game is essentially created from scratch upon launch, which results in some pretty extensive loading times. But despite its tiny size, the graphics are somehow pretty decent actually. North Korea have their very own operating system called Red Star OS. It's a Linux-based system and version 2.0 looked like this, a weird clone of Windows XP. For version 3.0 they decided to go for a Mac OS X clone instead. Now the question is, who is gonna use it? Seriously, this is North Korea at night. It's really kinda sad. They also have their very own web browser called Nainara, and it's a clone of an old version of Firefox. But I doubt any sane person in the country that actually have access to a computer would dare to even use it. You see, it doesn't actually connect to the internet. Instead, it connects to the country's intranet, called Kwangmyong, with its own mail service, social network, news outlet, among other things. Basically, you won't have access to the internet, but rather the best net. 12 plus 1 equals 11 plus 2. 12 plus 1 is an anagram of 11 plus 2. And of course, both 12 plus 1 and 11 plus 2 equals 13. Just like the two phrases 12 plus 1 and 11 plus 2 have 13 characters each. Fucking Austria. No, it's not me having anything against Austria. There's actually a small village called Fucking in Austria. Even though the village is tiny with a population of only 100, it's become quite famous for its fucking name. In fact, the only 2 crimes reported is people stealing the fucking road signs and actually fucking in front of the fucking signs. One version of the sign features the phrase bitte nicht so schnell, which means please which means which means please not so fast. In 1898, the novel The Wreck of Titan was released. The story features the biggest ship ever built named Titan, which happens to sink after hitting an iceberg. It sounds familiar, doesn't it? But the novel was written 14 years before the Titanic would sink in 1912, before it was even conceptualized. And the similarities are pretty uncanny. They both sank in April after hitting an iceberg on starboard side in the North Atlantic Ocean. There were not enough lifeboats for all the passengers, they had similar size and top speed, and both had a maximum crew and passenger capacity of 3,000. As a Russian citizen, you can declare your ethnicity as more or less anything you want, real or not. That is what the Constitution of Russia actually states, so people have chosen fictional things such as Jedi and Hobbit as their official ethnicity. Personally, I identify as an attack helicopter. Have you ever looked up at a clear blue sky and then suddenly you start to see small white dots seemingly floating around inside your eyes? It looks a little something like this and usually only appear for a few short seconds. If you haven't, it may sound extremely bizarre, but it's something called the blue field entoptic phenomenon, or simply blue sky sprites. What you're seeing is actually white blood cells inside your eyes. Blue light from the sky is absorbed by red blood cells but not white, and thus they appear as these mysterious bright dots. How do you describe a person with a below average intelligence without sounding disrespectful? Today, intellectual disability is the official term you should use if you want to be politically correct, at least in the US. But not long ago it was completely fine to use terms like retarded or mental retardation, but over time these terms became seen as offensive as they were more often used to specifically offend and insult a person. In a similar fashion, words like idiot, imbecile and moron were actual medical terms used to classify your IQ level. So if you had, say, an IQ of 65, it would be a completely correct medical term to say that you are a moron. In the Bay of Bengal, there's an island called the North Sentinel Island. What's fascinating about this place are the people who live here. They are called the Sentinelese people and are among the last tribes on the planet left almost completely untouched by the outside world. Several attempts has been made to contact the tribe, but the group has violently rejected each and every one of these attempts. The Sentinelese maintain a hunter-gatherer type society, and it's very likely that they have not even learned how to produce or control fire. They are the most isolated group of humans in the world and have existed for more than 60,000 years. A society frozen in time, oblivious to the evolution and progress of mankind. Completely unaware that we can fly, that we have computers, ice cream, smartphones, pigs that look like sheep, Morgan Freeman, porn. Oh god, so much porn. Japan, Yoda, Waluigi, and the dankest collection of dank memes the universe has ever seen. They don't know that there are billions of us, that we come in different colors, shapes, and sizes, that there's been thousands of wars spanning the entire planet, that there's a fucking planet. They have no idea that that gigantic white sky demon is actually a moon and that humans have been there, that it's possible that we are not alone in the universe and that aliens may exist. Then again, to them, we are the aliens.